Well, my daughter Lizzie was just finished the Think and the Read program. She's 11. And just a little bit of background, Lizzie did very well in school, has always done well, but about third grade, her teacher noticed that she was having trouble reading. And he felt that she had probably been a sight reader up to that point, and that now it was getting harder and she didn't have the skills she needed phonetically to keep reading and improve her reading. And that was translating into her writing wasn't as strong, her spelling wasn't as strong. The school did some intervention working with her in terms of her phonetics, helped her with that, and she did well with that intervention. So we kind of let things go over the summer, and then in fourth grade, she did okay, but then I started seeing her creep back into the same problems phonetically. So while I think it helped her what the school did, it was a quick fix.
Right.
It didn't help her long term. And she was doing well in all her other subjects, but I also saw her starting to lose interest in school and not get as excited about school. She didn't like to read, and when I did read with her, it was choppy. She did not read with much fluency. She'd skip words. And again, she was losing that love of reading.
Right.
So when she got a report card at the end of the year, I knew we needed to do something. And by a grace of God, in the mail that day came a flyer from LearningRx. I didn't know much about the program at all. I went online and looked up some of what I could find online, but I just felt drawn that I needed to call. So I called Courtney. We came down and did her evaluation. And then Dave and I came back and talked about our test results. And I will have to say, my husband can be a hard sell. I mean, I knew we had to convince him that this was the route to go for Lizzie. He's a physician.
Right.
And when he heard about the program, that's all it took. As a physician, he could see the scientific evidence behind what the program was based on.
Right.
And he also knew research out there that showed that cognitive training, keeping elderly people stimulated helped with dementia later in life and helped all that. So it made sense to him that this would work. And so we enrolled her in the program. At first, we didn't notice anything drastically in the first few weeks.
Right.
But you guys had all prepared us for it. It would take a little while to see some improvements. Probably about, I would say, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I started noticing Liz would, instead when I'd go up to tuck her in at night, she'd be reading instead of wanting to be on her iPod or wanting to do a computer game or just laying there trying to get to sleep or looking at something kind of mindless. She was reading. And then I noticed she'd read to me and her fluency was improving. She was not skipping words, and if she got stuck on a word, she had the tools to figure out what the word was. I started to see with her spelling, we'd studied for her spelling test, just a huge improvement. She started to listen to the sounds, or she'd stop and do the visual spelling that you were doing with her,
Right.
and she could see the word. And I remember she came home one day from taking a social studies test, and she got 100%, and she said, "Mom, I did what Michelle told me. I visualized, I remembered the map in my textbook, I could see it, and I was able then to remember that information for the test." I remember one night Dave doing long division with her, and that's kind of notoriously something kids have trouble with, and she was doing the problems and just snapping right through them. And then Dave was checking her, and she was getting them right, and he's like, "She's doing this so quickly." And she said in her words, "It's because of my LearningRx. I can think quicker, I can move quicker, it just all makes sense." So we just started noticing a lot of improvements. I also noticed she was more excited to go to school. She would come home and here's what we did, here's what I wrote. It was just, I could see a huge improvement in that. And even more importantly for me as a parent, I could see her self-confidence improving. And she would come home and say, I did this, and she would attribute it again to, I feel more confident because of my LearningRx. I know I can do it. And sometimes it was hard because at that point she was still just doing the Think program,
Right.
not so much the Read program. It's probably starting it, but not fully into it. And it was hard to see sometimes as a parent how the skills she was getting in the Think program could translate into her everyday academics, but they did. Amazingly well, they did. And didn't always just see them in her academics. She started playing the drums, and she said, the metronome kept me on beat doing my LearningRx. Now I can keep the beat doing my drums. She plays basketball, and she could just think quicker, move quicker. So, she became more confident. She loves to read. Her writing has improved. And that's one thing her teacher in third grade had mentioned, that because she is a sight reader and isn't able to phonetically decipher some of the words, she's losing the meaning. And so her comprehension wasn't as good. All of that improved dramatically when she went through LearningRx. It's just been amazing. And, I'm happy to report, and as you know, Michelle, her report card this last time,
Right.
all A's and a B+. And we all knew Lizzie could do that. We all knew she could do it. But I think, too, the comments that the teacher wrote, how proud she was of her, that she has seen a dramatic change in her from the beginning of the year till midterm. She is more focused. She writes with passion. She reads more fluently. She expects great things from her, and all that positive reinforcement. And Lizzie's been blessed to have really good teachers throughout her years in elementary school, but it's also, Dave and I firmly believe her training here and her training with you specifically that has made the world a difference for her. The staff here is incredible. And that goes all the way down from Jillian at the front desk to Courtney to Donna, and I can't say, and I hope I don't cry, enough good things about you as her trainer. And you knew how to get the best from Lizzie, and you knew she had it in her, and you expected her to give her best without being threatening to her.
Right.
And you did it in a positive way. And the fact that you just were so positive with her and just let it known to her, I expect the best from you every time you sit in that chair. And she knew that, and she rose to that occasion because of that. And again, you did it in a positive, non-threatening way. And she had just such a great rapport with you. The staff here and you as a trainer are just superb.
Anything else you'd like to say?
Just that, if you have reservations, it by far was the best amount of money we've ever spent for Lizzie. And we had, I just knew that taking her somewhere else for just tutoring was not going to it just wasn't going to cut it for her. I was afraid, sure, we'll fix the problem short term, but then we're going to be right back to where we were when they tried to fix the problem when she was in school. And, unfortunately, Lizzie, she was getting really good grades in her other subjects. It was reading and writing where she was struggling, so she was falling through the cracks at school, too. She wasn't deficient enough to meet needs to get help in school. And so I knew that if I was going to get her some help, it needed to be outside the school. And I just didn't feel like traditional tutoring was going to do it. And these are life skills that she can use forever, and she'll still do that. She goes, remember, I'm using visualization to remember this from LearningRx. And it was just, and I so much believe in the program, and my husband, that we are enrolling our oldest daughter for just enrichment for the 3-month Think program. And my husband has said many times, I'd love to do it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to do it. It just really, it's good training for your brain that you will use forever. Right. So, I encourage everybody to just go for it, because it is well worth it. And the staff here, again, is phenomenal. They work with you. I used to bring my 3-year-old in, and they would help me keep her. They're just a great group of people. So it's, again, the best money we ever spent.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And we hope that other parents will get a better sense of what LearningRx can do for them.
Absolutely.
And their family.